Shawn, I understand that you have a new video series out.
Yeah, I do.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. A couple of new ones. One that just came out, a takedown series with my good friend Warren Stout and Zach Esposito.
Oh, sure. I remember them.
Yeah.
good
I
guys.
mean, super high level wrestlers.
Right.
And that's looking like it's going to be a series, because we have so many different ideas of how standing grappling really can work itself out.
Right.
And then I have some of my other ones that I already have, the body lock one, and then
are they through BJJ Fanatics?
They are, but I have my own. I've now made my own platform.
Great. Very good.
It's called my Global Academy. It's basically called the Shawn Williams Global Academy. So you can get all those on there, with the exception of the wrestling one.
There you go, being an innovator.
That's it. Thank you. And I've got a couple. I'm sitting in my studio now. Yes. I'm actually going high gear into filming a lot of stuff. I have a coaching institute that's like actually the wait list is happening as we speak.
Right.
To work to start helping other coaches with kind of like what Renzo's provided us.
Right.
So how to teach, how do we do these things? How do we innovate? How do we plan curriculum? How do we do these things?
Beautiful.
So yes, yeah, thank you.
Can I ask you, like, what's one piece of advice that you I want? It's like a 2-part question, right? I was thinking about, like, because you have this video series, because actually you're an innovator and, working on how to teach jiu-jitsu, and that's kind of the least part of the topic. Like, what's one piece of advice that you would give, say, a senior practitioner? And what do I mean by that? I mean someone who's been in jiu-jitsu for quite some time and who's, probably not 25 anymore. Like, what's one thing that you would give that person as a kind of key or a insight into training? You've been training for 30 years, correct?
Almost, yeah. Close to it.
I just celebrated 30 years in February.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The first jiu-jitsu class I had was February 1995.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I remember it to this day. I was 6-time national champion. I got on a mat with like a 50-year-old guy and he strangled the shit out of me. I was like, what just happened? And I was like, that's it. Yeah. So, like, from your perspective, with your amount of experience and knowledge, like, what's one piece of advice or, I don't want to sound pretentious, bro, but what's something you could give a practitioner that's my level or, at the 20-year mark and is not 25 years old or 30 years old? Yeah.
Yeah. In regards to training, correct?
In regards to training. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in, how to view this thing.
Yeah. I would say you have to stay consistent and you got to change your way you train and the way you think if you don't think that way already, right? So, because as you age, besides like strength training is very important, flexibility, besides the physical elements that you need to do to stay training and stay healthy, you have to have a different mindset as you get older. In so much that you're still looking to progress. You're not competing with people on the mats. You want to progress. I think jiu-jitsu is I think it probably is the most unique martial art in that you can almost it's almost unlimited. Your progression.
I feel that way.
Absolutely. It's little, but like the little things, they make massive impacts and they can make you much more efficient. And so it's just like endless. It's endless. And I think that's one of the things that's the most, it's really, that's what I enamor about jiu-jitsu. It's just endless. It's endless.
Me too.
And so changing the mindset to be more playful, to train differently, use less attributes, it will help your timings, all sorts of different modalities to do that. But that is, I think, the most important because you want to do it for as long as you possibly can.
Well put, man. Well put. Amen.
Yeah.
I want to flip that coin over and go, what's some advice that you would give a new practitioner or like in the first year, 2 year, and forgive me, those of you who are listening that are in the 2 years, I'm not trying to be, again, disparaging. Like we all start, and that's a great place to be. Though as it relates to the 30-year mark, it's a relative point. So that's why I'm using it. Go ahead. Any thoughts there?
Absolutely. When you begin, one of the things I feel like is there's a couple of real sticking points that can happen. Number one, you can compare yourself to others, right? So when we're talking about 2 years, like, you and I know we were there every single day. I was there like hours a day, 5, 6,
Twice,
7, 8
3
hours a
times a
day.
day.
Yeah,
I was going back to my dojo.
That's right. Yeah,
Yep.
we put in hours and hours and hours a day. So people that put in 6, 8, 10 hours a day are way different than somebody that trains twice a week. Right. So comparing yourself to others is just it's a horrible idea. And it's common, right? It's very common. Like, hey, I got out of the gym and that person, they didn't tap me today. I did really good. Like, this is very common in our mindsets. We've all been there, done that. But then the next day you come in and they just tap you like repeatedly, right? So, but the problem is you don't know what they're doing. They may be changing training elements. They may be doing other things, playing. So that's number one, is you have your own journey and it's yours, and that's important to understand, that whatever your life allows, that's the journey that you're on, and you take responsibility and make the best of it by obviously taking notes. Remembering what you learn is a big one. That's just taking responsibility. And then the second one, I feel like around that time, depending on how much you're training, is, besides injuries, that's a whole nother topic, but there's an awareness that happens that I call it, it's often called the blue belt blues, like, man.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So in my opinion, it's a really positive place to be when you can now define or understand why you're losing. It opens the door to really starting to get better. But sometimes when you start to understand why you lose, but you can't prevent losing or tapping, it becomes like you feel like you're not getting better. But what happens is your awareness of what is going on is massively increasing.
That's right.
So you might be like, oh man, I got arm locked on the closed guard because I pushed off this person's chest. You don't even know that in the beginning. You don't know what you don't know. So you got arm locked. You're like, man, that was a pretty tough day. Got finished 6 times. Then you have the wherewithal to say, oh, I was pushing too hard and I couldn't get at my bicep to defend the arm. And then you all of a sudden start thinking, man, I'm stinking. I'm getting tapped like this. But yet you can solve the problem. And so that's an awareness thing, and that's a big step. And I feel like if you're not really on it with your mind, that awareness can become a negative place instead
disparaging,
of
right? Demoralizing.
That's right. Instead of a very positive place, like,
beautiful.
Wow, I really know what's going on now, and now it's just going to take me time on some of my training partners to actually be able to defend what they're doing. It's just going to take time.
Yeah, oftentimes. I think actually you and I may have talked about this very like years and years ago. Maybe we were blue belts or purple belts, and they're feeling like a plateau.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think we were discussing, like, there is no real plateau. Like,
correct.
There's just us processing, and as you keep going, as you keep working, as you keep doing that, those things open up. All of this stuff that's going on internally that we may not even be able to identify, like our consciousness is working out these problems, or like you said, identifying, you now know something. You may not be able to defend it yet, but now, at least what you know, like, to some degree, right? It's so funny. Like, I remember first starting jiu-jitsu, and like the difference between knowing nothing and a little bit in jiu-jitsu is like that.
Yeah.
But the difference between knowing a little bit in jiu-jitsu and a lot is not that big. It's like there's these kind of nuanced points that get, like, that just, they can save you. They can prolong, and you just keep going and going and going. But that always perplexed me in jiu-jitsu. Like the difference between knowing just a little bit and nothing is massive.
Yeah.
It's massive. At least that's the way it feels to me.
No, I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Gene. That's why UFC #1 was so crazy.
It's crazy. It
It's
really is
crazy.
crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy. It was crazy. It was, there's no aliens, and then there's an alien walking in front of you. You know what I mean? Like, boom. It's yeah. There's three circles that I talk about when I teach, and I took them from one of our very good friend Jamie Crowder made me go to this thing. I'm like, I'm doing it. I thought it was a cult thing, but I'll tell you what, it actually worked out really nice. But there's three circles, and I think that this is where it really helps. That is what you don't know, not even in your warehouse, not just you just
It's
don't
not,
even
it's
know.
on another planet.
That's when you don't know
Yeah,
jujitsu. I
right,
mean,
right.
and then you learn a little bit, and it's like, oh, it's what you don't know. It's what you know you don't know, but
Right.
like it's there now.
Right.
It's actually landed. Like you're like, oh wow, I that's jujitsu.
Right.
Wow. And
Right.
if you don't know what it is, you don't. Then it is just. I mean, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you just don't know it. You don't know what that hoist proved it, and then it's what you know, and that's where you master it. That little center
Right.
circle versus
Right.
the little outer circle, and then there's stuff out here that you just don't know. You don't know, and it's just like you just get submitted by 130-pound people, and you're 250. Like, rah, what?
I want to be responsible here, Shawn. Like, Rogan has some dialogue. I'm not a big Rogan guy, but I've heard him say, like, if you know jujitsu in a fist fight, it's like I'm paraphrasing, but it's like taking candy from a baby, right? Like you're
Yeah,
just going to get beat up. And to some level, I agree with that. I'm not trying to promote like learn a little jujitsu and go beat people up, right? Right. This is just a nuanced conversation inside of a serious practice, right?
yeah,
So I want to be responsible there. Shawn, like what? Like I heard you say like you have this platform you're developing. Like, what's your hope for jujitsu? Like, what's your hope, and maybe even the martial arts? Like, where does that forward thinking mind go to when you're thinking about the future? Like on our phone conversation, I'm gonna just tell you why I'm having this question come up for me so that you can have some color around it. That like, we were talking about the difference between real good jujitsu and not so good jujitsu. And
yeah.
I thought, well, maybe that's an interesting point. Like, where do you see jujitsu going, or where would you like it to go? And what's your definition of good jujitsu? We don't have
Yeah.
to talk about what what we think bad jujitsu is or not,
Yeah.
but like let's stay over here in that subject because I think it might be interesting for people.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm working super hard in Nashville. Thank God, I have a bunch of really hungry people that are willing to test this stuff in the competitive environment, which is neat. But my hopes is that, and I think that we're definitely going there. It takes a while, but it's literally. I like the word jujitsu. I think that's the word I like. I would say though that we are making grappling a complete grappling system, right? Because because people could say, well, that's from wrestling and that's from, yeah, it's just mixed. I just like the word jujitsu because
Yeah,
it's a combat art in the end of the day, and I feel like that's always got to be in the back of your mind and in the forefront of where you're going. Because what would be martial art if you got pounded, if you were doing the best that you could do and just got pounded, and you're on the guard and you didn't know how to defend your guard because you're trying to berimbolo somebody. Nothing against berimbolos, but if you're just getting waylaid by somebody who doesn't know anything,
right.
that's a fail. I feel like that's a fail. So that's always in and I think that's where we came from, right? Renzo's always fighting.
Absolutely.
Everything we did was good for fighting, but yet, man, we were also super good in the gi. It's
Right.
just like the way that it tailored over was
That was his method.
seamless, man, seamless. It wasn't fancy with the gi, but it was seamless. And Matt Serra winning the worlds
Yep.
at brown belt, like that proved, like, okay, that guy, he does a few things with the gi, but he mauled everybody at the worlds, just
Right.
mauled them. So that was interesting. So what I'm trying to do, my goal, and what I feel like where we're going is essentially where the grapplers really don't have a lot of weaknesses. and it's not just one thing. So let me give an example. It's probably easier for me to give an
Sure, please.
example than so standing grappling, right? You could call it from wrestling, judo, whatever it is. Right now, I'm reverse engineering all of our standing grappling. That's what I'm doing. That's part of that series with Zach, was a little bit of the beginning of that. But I'm taking the positions that we want to be in, that I like to be in, and that I want my students and athletes to be in. And then I'm looking at, like, what are all the ways to get there, right? What are all of the ways to get there? And then that's what we're going to focus on: hand fighting and a bunch of entries for. I have a couple of MMA kids that I feel like they're going to just be outstanding. So we're working hard to make sure that it's bridging both gaps.
Right.
But looking at where would you want to be when you hit the floor, and all of the ways to get there, because you don't have to be a great wrestler to sit down and sumigashi somebody, right? So
Right.
it doesn't matter. Once you get your hands on someone, if you're efficient, there's plenty of ways to get down to the floor and then on the top in a controlling situation without being amazing at wrestling. And then it's a very efficient system from the floor to essentially mount, because I believe that mount is where everyone should go.
Right.
Because when you mount, you get the back. Because if you're great at mounting, the person gives you the back through pressure. Like, and that's what I feel like ultimately the best grapplers in the world, whether they're fighting, whether it's a fight with a, fighting MMA, because I like striking as well, obviously, but are pressure based, efficient systems that have an answer feet all the way down to the mount, which means you're either going to submit somebody with a katagatame, or you're going to get their back and submit them with the rear naked strangle.
Right.
And along the way, I define what I believe are closed loops. There are systems that are essentially, you put someone in this closed loop once you get to these situations.
They've got no other choice.
And they don't have a choice.
Right.
Whether it's like, we have one that starts all the way back in the half guard. It literally looks, and I've done this for years. I've had the blessing of training with guys like Homolo and all these like other world champions in LA. And this stuff was tested. I mean, we start way back. Some of them start way back in a half guard. Looks unassuming.
Right.
But it just repeats, it repeats,
Right,
it repeats,
right,
it
right,
repeats,
right.
it repeats. So someone literally can't get away from the best position they can get is half guard bottom, and then they just get caught in this like pressure based closed loop until they're mounted, and it's like, wow. So that same mentality is also where we're spending a ton of time on the feet as well now, and just marrying it all.
And so do you feel as though, I heard a couple of things. One, to the question, what makes good jiu-jitsu, is the ability to have good pressure, the ability to be efficient, and to have a bridge between grappling and defending yourself.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to kind of put it?
It is, because and there are, I guess jujitsu can be yours, right? So it doesn't have to look like mine, doesn't have to look like Henzo's, doesn't have to look like Gordon, doesn't have to look like John. It can really be yours. Now, I do believe that as we go, obviously efficiency, my goal is to always try to figure out what's the most efficient way to do things. That's what I like to do. I like to experiment and try to figure out the most efficient way to do things. And then hey, here's how I feel like the most efficient way. Here's a couple of other ways you can also do this, but
Right.
this is what I feel like is efficient.
Right.
You don't have to do that though. No one has to do anything they want, as long as it's productive.
Right.
You can get to from LA to New York or Nashville to New York, and you can go on the country roads if you want. It's very scenic. It might take you a long time to get there, but you can do that.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's beautiful. Or you can just like, I'm going the highway as fast as I can because that's what I have to do.
Right.
And so I'm always trying to look for that. And so, yeah, I think good jujitsu is productive. It's got pressure. I think that pressure is a big deal, because you want to feel like you want to chop a tree down. I feel like when you're
I still work on this, man. I got this from Renzo too. Like, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt
It's
you.
no problem at all. You can interrupt me anytime you want. I value what you have your input as well. But like my athletes, what I instill in them is there is no failure, right? We're not failing. We're chopping a tree down because these days all athletes are freaking giant redwoods. I mean,
Yeah, right,
they're
right,
tough. There's nobody that goes in out of shape in a tournament anymore. They're tough. They're strong. They're good at something. They've all got talent. They're all good at jujitsu.
right.
So we're trying to chop trees down now, and the way that you do that is through create anxiety is essentially what you want to do. You want to have somebody be tired. And how do you make somebody tired that's a freak of nature? Well, you got to wear them down with pressure, and
That's right.
pressure
That's right.
can mean weight. It can mean the threat of being submitted. Like there's several ways that you can define pressure and create anxiety, and that's what good jujitsu does. Good jujitsu makes
Beautiful.
people tired because there's a state of anxiety that you're producing with either weight, power, strength, speed, submission, anxiety through submissions,
Right,
through threats, whatever it might be. It's pressure based.
right. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Shawn, any closing thoughts for people um, from you, a lifetime practitioner? Someone that look, I had this conversation. I was having a conversation about our conversation with my friend. Right, I was so excited, and it's just I told Walter, the producer, like I'm actually nervous. Like
I love you, buddy. You don't need to be nervous about
I love
anything.
you too, man. I like we have such history together.
Yeah,
You're my classmate. There aren't many of us,
yeah.
and I just wanted it to be great, and it has been great. So, um, but I was saying to my friend, and this was a private conversation, and like in the old days, like in the old days, like I sound like Abe Lincoln. Um, but like there was a group of people called the Dirty Dozen. They were the first West Coast black belts, and they got a lot of accolades. And I always felt, because in those days Black Belt magazine was a West Coast based publication, and it was the premier information source for martial arts. And that the East Coast people never got their due. And it's so interesting that like the Renzo Gracie Academy, which I believe was the epicenter of jiu-jitsu and still is, and to some degree, people may have a variant opinion. That's my opinion. It wasn't until much later that people started to understand that, wow, like there's something really spectacular happening here. And so you were there, and so I have a level of reverence and gratitude for our experience, our shared experience. And that's why I say, like, from a lifetime martial artist, there are certainly other lifetime martial artists in other disciplines and even in jiu-jitsu. But very few people were there with us. And I think American jiu-jitsu like was made in that in that room.
Yeah.
Now people can comment all they would like, and you're welcome to it. This is our conversation. But
Right.
back to the question, what's one more, like, if you have any closing idea from your perspective, what would it be?
Man, oh man. Well, I will tell you, when I moved to LA, got Henzo's blessing, moved to LA, opened a school. I couldn't agree with you more. If you weren't in that room, so like, I mean, let's talk a little bit about what came out of there. That the Dar strangle.
Right.
It was made there. It came out of there. This thing that I call the Almeida strangle, which is a katagatami, was made there. Let's see, Williams guard. Hey,
Hey.
there were so many sweeps also that were created in there. There were other strangles that were created in there. The footlock system that sort of John is
The carved
in there.
guillotine.
Yeah, the arm and guillotine period, and
Yep.
every variation that was happening. Like people call this. I actually made this one because I could. Matt Serra had the most flexible shoulders. I could never get my the high elbow. I called it the Serra guillotine for a long time because I could never get my elbow up there like that. So I changed my grip, and then there was just a plethora of stuff, right? Just boom, 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 coming out of the woodwork. That people just really don't really know.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, it did pave the way for a lot. Like I see things that I'm like, yeah. It just makes me feel good. Like, oh yeah, that was, we had that. We actually brought that out.
Yeah.
So it was really neat to be in there at that time. When I did move to LA, we'll just leave this. We'll stir the pot a little bit. We'll just leave it at this. Oh, I trained with some of the Dirty Dozen. Yeah. I was okay. No, it was. When I got to LA, I don't mean to interrupt you, Gene. When I got to LA, in my opinion, people had never seen that jiu-jitsu before. That Renzo did.
Right.
They didn't. It was new. It was new. I mean, I had a lot of people that would come in, and they were really talented people that were like, wow, I didn't learn anything like that. Like, well, it was just different. We were just from a different, not bad, not good, nothing.
Yeah,
wrong.
I think my commentary is that the focal point was, I'll say it. I don't. You're not going to say it. I'll say it. Or you don't have to say it. But like it in those days, it bothered me that the credit was not coming in the way that I felt like these other people were getting. Now, I'm not saying their jiu-jitsu sucked. They were original black belts. It's not the issue for me. It's that so much was happening in that room.
Yeah.
I remember House guy coming, the really great one. Dave Camarillo. Really great, really great. Yeah. Innovator, fantastic guy, ahead of his time. Wow. And like, he came there for a reason.
Yeah,
he came there to see what was going on and train with us, and he did. Yeah. And so that's my commentary. Like that period didn't get its kind of recognition, maybe, and it's still like I'm holding on to some shit. It's pointless anyway. It's long gone. But I thought like, yeah, you went to California, you were in that area of jiu-jitsu, and you answered the question, man. Like, you brought something of value, and it changed. It helped jiu-jitsu progress.
Absolutely. And I feel like I still have a job to do, and it's sort of just, again, following in Renzo's footsteps of like, all right, well, Nashville, I'm doing the same thing here now, and we have a lot of work to do.
Beautiful.
And we hopefully won't stop until I feel like, oh yeah, that grappling is really, when I commentate, I do the same thing. I try to tell people, like, I try to talk about what's going on, educate people through commentary, and hopefully that helps. But what I guess what I would leave also with, if you don't mind, Gene, is when I was a blue belt and I saw black belts training, like I just, like, I remember it being very surreal of like, I'm never gonna get there. Like that is crazy. Like crazy. You know what I mean? They're so good. And I guess what I would leave people with is, no, you can get there, and
Beautiful.
it just takes time and responsibility, because you're not gonna get there for free. You're gonna put your time in. You're gonna pay your dues, but you can get to be as whatever you want if you put the time in.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Shawn, I want to say thank you. You remain a very important person for me, and you did things that like I kind of wish I could do, and that bro, I don't say that to many people. Like I'm
You're
anybody who
very
knows
kind.
me, I'm in the world as powerfully as I can be. Though I will say that I'll reiterate this one point. Like you showed me, you were the first person to show me what it looked like to be an innovator. And then you did things that I wished I could do. I wished I had the guts to travel and go and work in other environments and take what you learned. I always wished I could do that. I just didn't. Like, New York was my place. It still is.
Okay.
Though I watched you do it in awe, brother. And I want to say thank you for coming on the podcast, and thank you for the wonderful work you're doing. And I will be cheering for you from the sidelines, my friend.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Jim. I appreciate it. And I have all the great memories of us for forever, man, embedded in my brain. So hopefully, like those pictures, I'll have to dig up. I'll have to dig up some more.
They were
But
great. I showed Walter one. It's going to go on the cover of the podcast. Love
Beautiful.
you, buddy. Thank you for your time.
Love you, brother.
Thank you for listening to the Gentle Art Podcast. Please share, rate, and review. And if you have any questions or you'd like to reach out, please contact us at the GentleArtPodcast@gmail.com or contact us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter or thegentleartpodcast.com.